We're joined now by Josh Ward of the Sports Animal, as good as there is in the biz. We certainly appreciate it. Josh's appearance is brought to you by Zool Beer Company. But first, Josh, you like the Zool. I brought you the Zool, but you're also a fan of the Honeybee.
I do love both. Honeybee's right down the road from my house, the Farragut location. It's a great setup, several locations, and it's kind of my go-to meeting spot. So, hey, we're out west, want to meet up somewhere, have a quick meeting, talk about something, just go to Honeybee. It's easy. Coffee's great.
Yep, good stuff. So check out Honeybee and also Zool Beer Company. They've got the beer, ice cream. It's not for kids. A great panoramic view downtown. Josh is thinking, man, I might be able to put my kids to sleep at night.
You read my mind, Dave. Yes, yes.
So, Josh,
Don't do it.
Getting brought to you by Zool Beer Company. And Zool Beer Company, great panoramic views downtown, worldwide award-winning beer, which is difficult to say, the official craft beer of Off the Hook Sports. All right, Josh, let's get to it. I want to remind everybody to hit that subscribe and like button so we show up in your feed more often. I just want to open it up. Really simple. Your thoughts. You're at the game last night.
I think Tennessee probably came out of the win against Ball State with plenty of things that will show up on film that they need to work on while still coming out of a game where they won by 49 points. And I think very quickly it's easy to think about what this offense can do and what Hendon Hooker can do and Cedric Tillman coming back and taking for granted what Tennessee's able to do against a team that they were okay enough. Last year, we'll see, having to replace so many players last year, how Ball State ends up doing over the course of the season. Physically, there's no matchup for Ball State against Tennessee. But I think it was kind of the best of both worlds. But Josh Heupel will be able to find plenty of things, probably some along the line of scrimmage, mistakes that maybe we didn't catch that were made at different times. I know there's still some questions at cornerback. Where are they going to be exactly? Tamari McDonald making a play early. Kamal Haddon making some plays in the game. Those are guys we talked about in August that are positive. So plenty to work on, and we can't overreact to a performance against a team like Ball State that just can't match up with Tennessee. But we also can remember not so long ago games like this where Tennessee would really have a tough time. Just a year ago coming out of the Bowling Green game, that Friday, a lot of the conversation was as if Tennessee had lost because there were some pretty glaring issues. Not as many glaring issues this time. I think that is a sign of progress within the program after a year.
Josh, we can break down stats and look at the stat sheet and the box score all day long, but I'm going to go with something that's a little different. I just thought Tennessee's body language looked very good. In particular, Hendon Hooker. They just looked far, far, far more comfortable, Josh.
I don't think there's any doubt there. And yeah, Hendon probably has some throws. They'll say, man, I missed this or that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, considering what I just said. You're going to find things that you need to work on. Hendon's going to see that as well. But the rapport with Cedric Tillman, I think, is obvious. I think the development of Jalen Hyatt, Princeton Fant, and Jacob Warren coming back at tight end. And Hendon's the guy. This time a year ago, he's not the starter. When I referenced the Bowling Green game, we were talking about Joe Milton. Now we're talking about Hooker, who had a full offseason to be the guy. So if you want to talk about comfort within the system or the chemistry that the quarterback's been able to develop with his teammates, it was there last year as the season went along. And you had veterans like Bayless Jones and Javonte Payton, who was a newcomer but had played a lot. So that probably helped. Now you're asking guys to step up in new roles or bigger roles. Brew McCoy is new to the team, but he's been in big college programs at USC, that brief stint at Texas. So coming into Tennessee, he does know what's asked of a player, a high-level player in a big-time program. That has to help. And then, we spent so much time talking about the culture over the last 18 months or so, and it's a word that's used too often. But I think it does apply to the standard. That's a word that has to apply as well, of what's expected day in, day out, internally, not externally, not what fans are saying about how many games they need to win. Internally, what needs to be done every day. I think there's a pretty clear understanding of that.
Great. Amanda, jump in there.
Oh, okay. So what were you most surprised about watching this game? I'm assuming you watched the game.
I did. Yeah, I was at Neyland Stadium.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Good. I watched it at home. What were you most surprised about, pleasantly and not so pleasantly?
Well, I'll start with maybe the disappointing surprise, if it would be that. And I don't know that it's a big deal. Part of it was probably what Ball State was trying to do offensively. And that's, Tennessee didn't get to the quarterback. And we knew going in that they would be quick throws, and they probably knew, hey, they've got guys on the outside, Byron Young and Tyler Barron and Joshua Josephs, who got some good time. So Ball State knew that Tennessee would be coming after the quarterback, but they still never got there. And I would have expected that would have happened. So that would be one that would be probably more disappointing. I would say that I don't know that it counts as a surprise here, but on the positive side, it would be that Tennessee really just kept it going. And I was still a little skeptical because of second quarter woes a year ago, but Tennessee through the first half to the start of the second half, they really just kept it going. And then when the backups came in, this is where I'm always skeptical in general. Are you really going to keep running the offense, or are you going to take your foot off the gas? And they didn't. They got to 59 points, could have been more potentially. And Joe Milton was able to go in and show, I think, some signs of progress there. I recognize the opponent. That the pass to Jimmy Holiday, that is not a throw that many people in college football can make.
No,
his arm is just, it's obvious. But when we talk about his arm, we're talking about bombs down the field. That was on a rope to Holiday, who's in stride, and where he catches the ball with the momentum of his body. That's one where you're making a play against an SEC defense, I think. So that's one where, like, if you told me, hey, Tennessee's going to score 59 points, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But the way Tennessee just continued with its business, I was happy to see that last night.
Yeah, and Josh, I don't know if you heard it in the press box, but on the halftime interview, Josh Heupel was asked about his thoughts, and Amanda made a great point that they stuck the camera right up his nose, which they did, but that's not really important. But it was right up his nose. But he addressed what you referred to, I think, and that was that last drive where I think the defense relaxed a little bit. And maybe that's that second quarter woes, but it did seem like maybe that touched a nerve with him. I thought to have as good of a half as they did, that was the first thing out of his mouth.
Sure, and that would go back to coaches are going to find what they need to work on, and that's what you want. If you're a fan, that's what you want. You don't want Josh Heupel to just sit up there and, not that he would have, talk about how great everything went and there are no problems. I mean, some coaches are going to be different in their psychology of things, but I think most often they're going to go to that of, what did we do wrong? What are we going to find on film? What can I go yell at my players about? Because it's not going to be that easy against Ball State to start out the game with an interception by Tamarion McDonald and then an immediate touchdown to Jalen Hyatt and a quick celebration of, hey, this is how tonight's going to go. But I still say that it very easily could have been a 42-17 or 24 game if the players didn't keep the right focus for most of the time. I expect here's why if there's some kind of slip up or let down mentally, at times I don't I don't harp on it too much, because while I'm watching the game, I mentally check out for a little bit in that kind of game. And I would if I were a player, I guarantee, especially if I know I'm just that much better. So I expect there to be some of that within a game. But they got out of there with a 49-point win. So that's why I say if you can beat them by 49 and just cruise through the game and still find some things that you need to work on, because that's always going to happen. That to me is as close as you can get in the crazy college football world and in the mindset of a coach to the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know the Pitt game's coming up, and we watched Pitt last night, but
dun, dun, dun. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, not really dun, dun, dun. If you watched Pitt last night, how are you expecting that to play out? And do you see where Tennessee is dominant in certain areas and will be able to shut down Pitt?
Yeah, shut down, I'm not sure. But, defensively, I think offensively, Tennessee is going to put up a lot of points. I think Tennessee will be able to move the football, and this will be a much better line of scrimmage test. So that will be one of our biggest questions, I think, going into this Pittsburgh game is Pitt up front defensively. They're going to try to come after Hendon Hooker and force some mistakes and create some pressure, and we'll get a better idea of where Tennessee is at tackle and pass rush, because that's just something Ball State had no chance and didn't even try that much. Pitt will try probably, and you have the coaching matchup between Narduzzi and Josh Heupel, where Pitt will be as prepared as they can be for what Josh Heupel wants to do offensively. I still think the Vols will find plenty of advantages and have a chance to go for 40+. I mean, they almost hit it last year with a quarterback change in the middle of the game. But defensively, Tennessee, Warren Burrell had some spots I thought where had a tough time. Pitt's going to see that and see, can they attack? Can they run the football? They have a couple of guys that showed on Thursday night that they could make some plays in the game. So line of scrimmage will be the biggest question going in, but my initial thought, a little more than a week before the game, I do like Tennessee going up to Pitt, and I plan to pick Tennessee, and I doubt that my opinion will change unless we hear something drastic personnel-wise with Tennessee, which I don't anticipate. So I think the Vols are in a good spot getting ready to go to Pitt next week, and Tennessee's going to have revenge on its mind a little bit. Pitt's going to have confidence because it knows, even though you have some personnel changes at quarterback and receiver and coaching as well. But Pitt knows, hey, we went to Knoxville last year. We can win. So you'll have confident Pitt coming off an emotional win. You'll have Tennessee with confidence for obvious reasons.
Josh, I got one on offense and one on defense. I'm going to let you out of here. I know you got a busy day and a family to attend to. I want to start on offense. I thought it was pretty clear that Tennessee has settled on its two tailbacks. Dylan Sampson would be the third guy, but I think the first two were pretty obvious based on the first half.
Yeah, that's coming back to trust in veterans. As the season goes along, let's see. They have legitimately really liked what they've seen from Dylan Sampson, but like I was talking about pass rush and what Pittsburgh's going to try to bring, well, that comes back to pass protection for Tennessee, and you're going to have more trust in Jabari Small, who's obviously the number one guy, and then Jalen Wright, who's played more. So let's see, does Sampson get more of an opportunity within the game to try to make a play, because that's his obvious upside for Tennessee. My guess is that they come back to being safer in protecting Hooker and protecting the offense, and then work in Sampson and Williams-Thomas as the season goes along. At some point, you still have to prepare as if somebody might go down, because that's the nature of the position. And we talked a few weeks ago about Justin Williams-Thomas. Still love his upside. Sampson, he's a smaller guy with more home run ability that does fit really well in this offense. So as the year goes along, we'll see more of him. I'm not sure that we're going to see a lot more of him in Tennessee's first road game, in its first game against a Power 5 team.
Josh, in the defense, lastly, I just want to leave you with this. As far as the defense, and I'm an X's and O's guy. I saw a lot of multiple fronts, a lot of twists and stunts that they were doing different up front. I wonder how much more comfortable Tim Banks is with this group, and now that he's had a year under his belt.
Probably a lot more comfortable, and I do think more confident in more players. So we saw a lot of guys up front fairly early on the defensive line. The arrival of Joshua Josephs and James Pierce created some buzz in camp. We saw Josephs early in the game. Dominique Bailey is a player that we heard about over the last few weeks of camp. Saw him in the game, and then players that we knew would help start things out. They still need to create more pressure, but Banks leading at linebacker, I think there's more confidence there. More players in the secondary to count on. Again, how high of a level can they play against elite receivers? That's a question to be answered later. But they didn't have any change on the defensive side in the staff. That had to help the players as they get ready to play bigger roles this season, and some transfers coming in and development along the defensive line when you have somebody like Rodney Garner. That's why I think this defense has a chance to be better this year. Not great, I wouldn't say elite in the SEC, but better than it was a year ago.
Josh Ward again of the Sports Animal. Last thing, Josh, did you make your 5 a.m. workout this morning? I almost texted you, but it was a late game, and I didn't know what the traffic was like leaving Neyland Stadium.
So, Dave, because I know that that's a judgmental tone, I did not. However, if you keep up with health science, sleep is also very important when it comes to that restorative sleep. And if I was getting up for the 5 a.m. workout, I was not getting the restorative sleep. So, no, I did not, and I gave a good reason why.
I'm rocking 2 hours right now, Josh. I'm rocking 2 hours of sleep.
I might have to swing by Honeybee, though, still on the way to the office. I promise you that.
Nice plug. And tonight, to go to sleep, you got Zool Beer Company.
The weekend is here, thankfully, too, and a big college football weekend. I can't wait for it.
Best to you and the family, sir. We will talk to you next week. We appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Ward is fantastic of the Sports Animal. You can hear him noon to 3 each and every day. And